This video will be on cubes and cube roots. So starting with the definition of cubing a number means to multiply a number by itself 3 times. So an example of this would be 2 to the third power, which we said means multiplying 2 by itself 3 times, so 2 times 2 times 2. So breaking this down, we can do 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed, is 8. Moving over to the right side, the definition of cube root is the value when multiplied by itself 3 times gives us the number we're looking for. So an example of this is if we're finding the cubed root of 8, and this right here is the way we show the cubed root. So finding the cubed root of 8, we're looking for a value when multiplied by itself 3 times that will give us 8. So from the previous example, we know 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8. So our answer is 2 for that one.
So I bet you're wondering, how do I do this on a calculator? I really want to know. I know it's killing you. You just need to know. You need to know. So grab your graphing calculator. Go get it if you don't have it next to you, because I want you to follow along. Okay? And ignore the screen. Ignore this graph. It has nothing to do with what we're doing. Okay? Alright, so the way you do this on a graphing calculator is you do 2 caret 3. So 2 to the third. So this caret means you're raising it to that power. So we're doing 2 to the third power. Okay, and I'm going to highlight this on the calculator for you, so make sure you're following along. So you would do 2, and then this caret, and then to the third power. And then press enter. And when you do that, you should get 8. So this is just like doing 2 to the third power, and that should equal 8. Okay? Alright, so for this next part, how do you do the cube root on a calculator? Alright, so looking at your graphing calculator, first step is you press the math button. Press the math button and it should bring you to a screen with a bunch of options. Okay, and you should see something that looks like the cube root. I believe it's number 4 on your calculator. So when you do that, it actually has the cube root and then parenthesis. It has 1 parenthesis. Alright, and then from there, so you press enter or press number 4, and the cube root should just pop up on your screen without anything. Cube root in this parenthesis. Then you're going to press number 8 because we want to find the cube root of 8. And then you're going to close the parenthesis. So on your screen it should look just like this. Cube root, parenthesis 8, close parenthesis. And then you're going to press enter. And when you do, on your calculator, sorry, this is still yellow, your answer should be 2. Okay, so now we're finding the cube root of each of the following numbers. So for number 1, you're doing this by hand. No calculator, by hand. So we want to find 5 cubed. So what does that mean when we do 5 cubed? It means 5 times 5 times 5. Alright, so break this down. 5 times 5 gives you 25. 25 times 5. I like to think of this using quarters. So if I have 5 quarters, how much do I have? 4 gives me $1. 5 gives me $1.25. Right? But if you don't know that, we can go off to the side. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. So we get 125. So we get 125 is our answer for that. Alright, and second one, by hand. 3 cubed. Again, we do 3 times 3 times 3. To break that down, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 will give me 27. Okay, so I know you can look at this and think, oh, I can do that, that's really easy. But I think just so you don't make any mistakes, breaking it down is really helpful. Alright, now these ones with the calculator. Number 3, 17 cubed. So as we discussed before, I can show you with the calculator if that makes it easier. So here's the calculator. 17 cubed, we want to do 17, then the caret, and then 3. Right? So 1, 7, caret, 3. 17 to the third power. Okay, if you want to do that without a calculator, be my guest. But I think it's easier. So what do you get when you do 17 cubed? I believe when you do that on your calculator, you get 4,913. If you didn't get that, make sure you do it again. See what you did wrong. Okay, and for this next one, with a calculator, negative 233 cubed. Ooh. Tricky, tricky negatives. Okay. The way you do that is just as this shows you to do. You need to put in parentheses. Okay, so you would do parentheses, negative 233, close parentheses, caret to the third power. Alright, so on the calculator you would do, here's the parentheses, here's the negative, 203, 3, close the parentheses, caret, and 3 again. Press enter, and voila. Alright, and what I got on my calculator is negative 12,000, no, that's wrong, negative 12,649,337. Which makes sense because you're multiplying negative 233 by itself 3 times. It's going to be a really big number. Alright, and I always like to double check myself, so let's double check that. Alright, I double checked it, and that's what I got. So that should be your answer for that one. Okay, let's go over some more examples here. So the directions say find the cube root of each of the following. So for number 1, we're doing this by hand without a calculator. So we're trying to find the cube root of negative 8. So let's remind ourselves what's the definition of a cube root. So when we find the cube root, we're trying to find a number when multiplied by itself 3 times will give us that number. So we're trying to find a number when multiplied by itself 3 times will give us negative 8. So we've only done positive examples so far. So let's think of this as being positive 8. So what number, when multiplied by itself, will give us positive 8? 2, right? 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 gives us positive 8. So thinking of that, let's try -2, see if that works. So -2 times -2 times -2. Gonna separate this. -2 times -2 gives me a +4. You don't need to put that positive sign, but I like to remember it, so I'm going to put it. +4 times -2. Positive times a negative is a negative, so we do get -8. So our answer is -2. The cube root of -8 is -2. Alright, and for number 2, by hand, the cube root of 27. So this one's positive. We don't need to think about negatives. What times itself 3 times will give me 27? So we know it's not 2 because that gives us 8. So let's try 3. 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 gives me 27. So the answer to this is 3. The cube root of 27 is 3. Okay. So for number 3, with a calculator. So here's my handy calculator. You should have your calculator next to you still. So now we're going to take some steps to help us solve number 3 with the calculator. So make sure you're following along. Alright, so step 1, we're going to press math on our calculator. Alright, so press math. Then you should see a bunch of options. I want you to press number 4, which should look like the cube root. Should look just like that. Okay, so press number 4 on your calculator and that should pop up on your screen. Alright, now we're going to enter in our numbers that we're using. So 13,824. So make sure you enter those numbers. And on your screen it should look just like that. You have the cube root symbol and then your numbers. Okay, then I want you to close the parentheses. So here is the button to close the parentheses. I want you to close your parentheses. Alright, and then you can press enter. And what do you get? Okay, 13,824, close parentheses. I got 24 as my answer. Okay, if you didn't get that, rewind the video and make sure you get that as your answer. Alright, next problem. Same thing, okay? So first step, we are pressing the math button on our calculator. Second step, we're pressing number 4 on the list of options to give us the symbol that looks just like our cube root. Pressing number 4. Alright, next step, we're entering our number. So don't forget the negative sign. We're entering negative 1,728 and then closing the parentheses. Alright, so on your screen it should look just like that. Alright, and then pressing enter. Enter. And what do you get? 1,728, close. I got -12 as my answer. Okay, so hopefully you got that as well. If not, make sure you know how to do that. So this is how you find the cube root on your calculator. So now it's time to see what you learned from the video. So for number 1, what is the cube root of 27? You should definitely know this one based on the video. Alright, and number 2, for your response, true or false, 8 is a perfect cube. So is 8 a perfect cube, true or false? Okay, so answer that in the Google form, and see you tomorrow in class.